Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and I have an awesome guest here today. You will love her if you don't already. So Marci, I'm going to say hi, and then I'm going to rave about you for a little bit.
Okay. Hi.
Yeah. Marci Shimoff is a number one New York Times bestselling author, a world-renowned transformational teacher, and an expert on happiness, success, and unconditional love, something we all want. Her books include the New York Times bestsellers Happy for No Reason and Love for No Reason. She's also a woman's face of the biggest self-help book phenomenon in history, as co-author of 6 books in the Chicken Soup for the Woman's Soul series, and with a total book sales of more than 15 million copies worldwide in 33 languages. That is so cool. She is featured teacher in the film and book sensation The Secret. She's done so many things in film and PBS, and she currently co-leads a global online program called Your Year of Miracles. So welcome, Marci. It's really such an honor and such a pleasure to have you here.
It's so great to be here with you, Tricia. I love what you're up to. I love this show, and I love getting the opportunity to talk to you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate your being here. It was great to meet you last weekend in that beautiful setting with Dr. Sue, and you just lit up the room. I just took like copious notes when you were up there sharing some incredible things about speaking. I loved that. But, you know, your message, obviously, of happy for no reason, I think is so important for emotional eaters, especially because we've managed to come up with all kinds of reasons not to be happy. You know, our relationship with food and our bodies being one of them, you know, trauma in our past, feeling of victimhood. I mean, so many different things that seem to plague us and follow us around. And so breaking free from that mindset is so critical and so integral to healing emotional eating. So I'm just really psyched to have you here and to really dig into that topic.
Well, as I said, I'm thrilled to be here. This is a topic that is very near and dear to my own heart, which you will hear why.
Okay, let's start there.
Okay. So people have always asked me, you know, Marci, you write about happiness. Were you always happy? And my answer is absolutely not.
Okay.
I was born depressed. I had a great family. I had wonderful parents. I lived, you know, everything around me, the circumstances were great, but I had a dark cloud around me. I felt deeply depressed. I wouldn't say deeply depressed. I felt depressed as a child. I remember other kids like playing out in the street, and I just would feel like the weight of the world on my shoulders, like, oh, how could you play when there's all this awful stuff happening in the world? And the way that I soothed myself during all of my growing up years was through food. And by the time I was in the 8th grade, I had already been a major yo-yo dieter. I was already, by then, probably 30 pounds overweight. I was very, very chubby.
Wow.
And weight was my issue. Food was my issue. I would go to the freezer for ice cream all the time. I'd raid the freezer secretly. And so much so that my mother had to put a padlock on the freezer.
No kidding.
It was,
wow.
It was intense.
I tried to do that, but I couldn't quite figure it out.
Yeah.
For myself, of course.
Yeah. Problem is, you know where the key is.
Right, yeah.
My mother hit the key. And my mother was also struggled very much with her weight and was also a secret eater. So that which I didn't really know until later on in life. I mean, I knew she struggled with her weight, but I didn't know how she was a secret eater until later and there was a lot of shame for me around that. The biggest thing that I wanted when I was a teenager was to be the cheerleader. My best friends were cheerleaders, and every time I was first runner-up, and it was because I had on a lot of extra padding.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot that came that happened for me around food. And it fueled a lot of my digging into how to be happy. And, I'm happy to say that I was a sugar addict from the get-go. And
Me too.
I went off of sugar when Happy for No Reason came out in 2008. I was not feeling great. I was burned out. I was traveling. I was going through menopause. And I went to a doctor who said, you really try going off sugar. And I did a lot of things to boost my serotonin, because the craving for sugar is a low serotonin level. And I did things to boost my serotonin. And I can say that I've been off of sugar now for 11 years.
Good for you. Raise a roof, girl. That's awesome. So
it's not anything I could have imagined. So
yeah,
I'm so happy to speak to this topic of happiness and how that can support you in your relationship with food.
yeah, I love that. And that's really why I wanted you here, because it is such an important conversation. And I think it does send us on such an emotional roller coaster, especially when we can't control our intake, and the shame and the guilt and the self-loathing that goes along with that. So that's just I love that you have a personal connection to this, show and topic. So thank you for, sharing that.
Yeah, major. Let me tell one more little piece of story that I think will be very relevant for people. So when I was in my 20s, I didn't know how to get happy. And I figured, okay, I'm going to set goals for myself. And once I reach those goals, I'll have everything I need to be happy. And I'm going to share with you my 5 goals. These were the ones I thought, once I have these, that's it. I'll have it done. I wanted to have a great career helping people. I wanted to have a wonderful husband or life partner, fabulous friends, a comfortable home, and the equivalent of Halle Berry's body. Now I have 4 out of the 5. I do not have Halle Berry's body, but I have a healthy body for which I'm grateful. And, I feel good. Age 61, I feel better than I've ever felt in my life.
You look great.
But I had a wake-up experience. So I got all those things. I worked really hard, except for the Halle Berry body. I worked really, really hard. And in June of 1998, I had a turnaround moment. I had like a wake-up moment. At that time, I had 3 books in the top 5 on the New York Times bestseller list at the same time. I had a great partner. I had a comfortable home, wonderful friends. All was going well. I had just finished giving a speech to 8,000 women. I had autographed 5,432 books. I felt like an author rock star. And I remember after I signed that last book, they'd had to have a massage therapist on hand to massage my hand so I wouldn't get carpal tunnel.
Wow.
After signing that last book, I went up to my hotel room, walked over to the windows, which had a panoramic view of all of Lake Michigan. I was in Chicago. And I turned around and I fell onto the bed and I burst into tears. And I burst into tears because I realized that I had everything I thought I needed to be happy. And I still felt that same emptiness inside. And it was kind of the end of the road for me, because I realized I can't fool myself anymore into thinking just that next thing, is going to do it for me. And so then I said, I'm going to find out what it takes to really be deeply, truly happy inside, what I call happy for no reason, happy from the inside out, not based on your circumstances. And then I would just find out. I would try everything. I would do the research. And that's what happened. I did all the research. I tested it, and it started working on me. I started finding that place of happiness inside. And that's now what I share with people. And what I find is that when people get happier inside, all the outside things change, including, of course, people's relationship with food. And I would say back then, if you were grading me, I would have given myself a D+ in happiness. And now I'm a solid A. And that's not to say I don't still work on it. I am a work in progress. I am the first to say I'm a work in progress, but it works. The things I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to share with you some really practical things, they work.
I can't wait to hear them. And I think that from my experience, you kind of have to get that happened to me too. Like I had to get the things I thought would make me happy. Like I always felt like I never had my ducks in a row. And if I could get them in a row, and there was one moment where I did, the boyfriend, the job, the body, I mean, I had lost a bunch of weight. I got them all in a row and felt like, oh my God, it was a fleeting moment, of course. But I always thought that, that would do it. And I had that same emptiness, and it's like, it's almost a gift to be able to pull it off, at least for one moment. So you get the realization that, oh my God, this is not it.
Right.
And you got to go within. So,
I think that everybody's had enough of an experience that they've gotten what they thought they wanted.
Yeah.
And they were happier for a little while, but then it didn't last. That we all kind of get it. But let me just share with you before I go into the practical things, because I love practical, as I know you do too, Tricia. Yeah. I want to just share with you the one piece of research that really clicked for me about happiness. And that is that science has now cracked the happiness code. We know what it takes to be happy. And it's based on something called our happiness set point. So we each have a happiness set point, and it's like a thermostat setting. And no matter what happens, whether it's good or bad, whatever happens to you, good or bad, you'll go higher, you'll go low, but soon you will adjust back to your original thermostat setting. That's your happiness set point. So you win the lottery, you think, oh, that's all I need to be happy. You would be happier for a few months, but within a year, you'd return to your original happiness set point. So the happiness set point is the key to everybody's happiness. And how is it determined? So, okay, that's the important thing. It's 50% genetic. You're born with it. I was not born with the happiness genes. But 10% is your circumstances. Such a tiny piece of the pie, that's the piece we're all trying to fix, getting the ducks in a row, but it's only 10% of your happiness. The other 40% is your habits of thoughts and behavior. That's where we can make changes to raise that happiness set point. And I'm going to take this one step further and say that scientists in the field of epigenetics, which are the people that study our genes, they found that when we change those habits, it actually can influence the genes. That 50% that is our genes, those can be influenced by changing our habits, which says that 90% of our happiness is based on our habits. I have found that the only difference between deeply happy people and everybody else is that they have different habits. And I've narrowed them down to 21 main happiness habits. They fall into 7 categories. And let's get started on sharing those with you. Yeah.
That's so important. I mean, what crazy good news that we can change our genes, literally, impact our genes with our habits. It's so awesome. And so aligned with the Heal Your Hunger message, which is all about changing our self-care habits, especially. So what in your research, tell us about, the top, I think you talked about this when I saw you a week ago, but talk about the top, the thing that all these happy people, these successful, happy, satisfied people had in common.
Well, there are 7 main areas. Okay. That we really need to focus on it. And so I'm going to go through all 7 of them briefly.
Okay, great.
And what I want everybody to do is I want you to think, which of these am I really good at? Which of them are my Achilles heel, and which are kind of in the middle? And we always have a couple that we're great at, a couple that were really our Achilles heel, and a couple and then the rest in the middle. And then I tell people to start where they're the weakest, because that's where you're going to get the most shift. And for all of us, it's different. So here are the 7 areas. And I made an analogy because I know that a metaphor, it's hard for people to remember 7 of anything, but we can remember it when there's a metaphor. And the metaphor I call building your inner home for happiness. Now, a home has 7 areas. It's got a foundation, 4 corner pillars, a roof, and a garden. And here's how it relates. The foundation is taking responsibility for your happiness. It's showing up in life not like a victim, but like a victor in life. Like somebody that goes, oh, I can't blame my unhappiness anymore on my childhood. That's not to say I'm not going to deal with it and heal it, but I can't keep blaming things on everybody else. I've got to take responsibility. And you know that your in victim behavior when you do one of these three things. You blame, you shame yourself, or you complain. So if you have a habit of any of those, blaming, shaming, or complaining, then one of the first thing you want to do is take responsibility for your happiness. And to me, that's freedom. That's good news.
Totally.
Then you've got the four corner pillars of your home for happiness. You've got the pillar of the mind, the heart, the body, and the soul. The mind is your thoughts. Are your thoughts supporting your happiness, or are they sabotaging it? Your heart. Are you living with an open heart? Do you have gratitude, forgiveness, generosity of spirit? The body. Do you have the biochemistry of happiness? I did not. I had low serotonin. There are biochemicals of happiness, and there are natural things that we can do to raise our biochemistry of happiness. So that might be one of your weak spots. Mm-hmm. And then there's the soul. How deeply are you connected to your soul? Do you feel a sense of connection to all of life? And I found that all happy people feel connected to life. Then there's the roof of your inner home for happiness, and that's your purpose or passion in life. Are you living an inspired life? Are you doing what you feel that you're here on the planet to be doing? And then finally, there's the garden of your home for happiness, and that is your people you're surrounded with. Do you have a lot of roses and gardenias around you, people who support you? Or do you have some weeds, some toxic people that drag you down? So take a look at all 7 of those areas and see, what are you weakest in? So Tricia, I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you think?
Let's see. Heart, soul, body,
mind, thoughts, purpose, passion, it's the roof, and then the garden who you surround yourself with, and taking responsibility is the foundation.
Gosh, that's hard. I would say, because I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life.
Congratulations.
I'm flying. I'm just feeling really connected.
What do you think you had to work on the most to get you to where you are if you look at those 7 areas?
I'll tell you, when I started my business, which is only Heal Your Hunger, when I really broke out with Heal Your Hunger, wrote my book, created programs to help people, I was completely on my purpose, completely aligned with what I believe God's mission is for me, God's purpose is for me in this earth. I was around it for a long time, working with people with addictions. But when I really honed in on emotional eating, which is my favorite thing in the entire world to talk about and teach about and help people with. Man, it just like lightning. I just got really happy really fast. When I get to do this work, I am so in my zone and I feel so happy. And everything else, I practice, by the grace of God, I practice what I preach, which has everything to do with treating our body with love and having self-care habits and, having a positive attitude, taking responsibility. Like all the things you mentioned are part of what I teach. So I just feel like it's all just come like super, super laser focused and aligned. But it was really when I put a stake in the ground for what I believe I'm here to do.
Fabulous. Well, congratulations that you're doing it.
Thank you.
So I, and I feel the same way. I feel very blessed that way. And if you don't, for people who aren't feeling like they're doing what they're here to do and they're not living their passion, there are some very clear things that you can start doing. I would just say right away, ask yourself this question. What is it that makes me feel alive? And make a list of 10 things that make you feel like you are alive, vibrant. Like for me, it's talking about this with you. It's walking in nature. It's moving my body. Moving my body is key for me. It's
Amen.
What makes me feel alive.
Amen.
It's listening to music.
Yep.
So for everybody, it's different. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down 10 things that make you feel alive. And there's a beautiful quote by Howard Thurman. It's just always so inspiring to me. It says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs is more people who've come alive.
Oh, I love that. I got the chills. I love it. It's so true. And when we're alive, we're spreading light and love.
That's right. That's right. So let me tell you a couple of other things. Can we just bullet through some
Let's do it, girl.
Things?
Yeah.
Self-love. Self-love to me is kind of the foundation of it all. If you're not feeling self-love, we sabotage everything.
Right.
So when you love something, you take care of it, right? I have my grandmother's china. My aunt left me my grandmother's china, and I take really, really good care of it. So where we fail is we don't take good care of ourselves, and it gives the message that we're not loving ourselves. So I want you to write down this question. And the question is, and what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you put it on a Post-it and place it on your computer or on your mirror. And the question is very simply, what's the most loving thing I could do for myself right now? Super crazy, simple question. What's the most loving thing I could do for myself right now? And then twice during your day, I want you to take 5 minutes, ask the question, and do whatever the answer is. Now, the answer could be, I'm going to drink some water. The answer could be, I could just get up and move my body. The answer could be, I'm going to pick up the phone and call a friend, or I'm going to take a break, or I don't know what your answer is going to be. And sometimes it may be longer. It could be, I'm going to take a bath tonight, But what's important is that you listen, you ask the question, and you listen to the answer. And what that does is it builds up your self-love muscles.
Amen. Yeah, you build self-esteem by self-esteemable acts. I love that.
Right.
Yeah, super cool. Okay, so these are some great action steps, everybody listening. Great stuff you can do right now to change.
Okay, should we do more?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, I'm going to take you through a 2-minute process.
Okay.
And this 2-minute process I learned from a group called the Institute of Heart Math.
Mm-hmm.
They're the world's leading researchers on the heart and happiness. They have found that when we spend 5 minutes in frustration and anger, it can weaken our immune systems for up to 6 hours. But when we spend 5 minutes in love and gratitude, it can strengthen our immune systems for up to 6 hours.
Amazing.
So we're not going to do 5 minutes. We're going to do 2 minutes. But this is a practice called the inner ease technique that I learned from them. Super simple. What I want everybody to do is I want them to do it along with us, because just watching us doing it isn't going to do anything for you. Not exciting. So you're on your honor to do this with us.
Yep.
And you're going to be my guinea pig. So
you got it.
Okay? So I'm going to ask you at the end of this how you feel any different than how you feel at the beginning. Okay?
You got it.
You can do this with your eyes open or closed. We're going to do it with our eyes closed just because it goes a little bit deeper. Okay?
Okay.
So everybody, please close your eyes. There's 3 steps. The first step is to simply place the palm of your hand over your heart. This simple act of putting your hand on your heart starts the flow of a chemical called oxytocin. And oxytocin is one of those feel-good chemicals. It's what we have more of when we're bonded or connected with each other. Mothers have it who are breastfeeding. We have it when we're making love. But just putting our hand on our heart right now is stimulating the flow of oxytocin in your body. Now, the second step is that I want you to imagine that you're breathing in and out through the center of your heart. So just imagine that your breath is coming into your heart and going out of your heart. You're breathing into your heart on the inhale and out of your heart on the exhale. And you can keep on doing this at your own pace, your own rhythm. Just imagining the breath coming into the heart and going out of the heart. You may already start feeling a little shift. Now on the third and final step is that every time you inhale now, I want you to imagine that you're breathing in love, ease, and compassion. Just breathing in on the inhale into your heart, love, ease, and compassion. The exhale, just imagine you're exhaling out of your heart. Now, some people have an easier time remembering a time where they felt love, ease, and compassion. You can do that. You can picture a time for people who picture things well. But if those don't work for you, all you have to do is just in your own inner voice, say the words to yourself silently, love, ease, and compassion on the inhale. Any of those will work. So just 2 more deep breaths, breathing into your heart, love, ease, and compassion. Breathing out of your heart. And one last time, breathing into your heart, love, ease, and compassion. On the next exhale, you can just relax your hand and you can just slowly open your eyes. And as you're opening your eyes and coming back to the room, I just want you to notice, how do you feel different in your body now than you did 2 minutes ago? That's all that was 2 minutes. How do you feel different emotionally? How do you feel different physically? Either or both of those. So Tricia, you're our guinea pig. Tell me how you feel any different.
I feel more relaxed, like my whole body relaxed. I feel more grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And more, I guess, focused. Mm-hmm. Like more present. I feel more present.
Great. So that was just a couple of minutes. And by the way, but all those things that you mentioned are signs of being in what science calls the love response. We all know the stress response. There's a whole biochemistry that goes with the stress response that is very, very tied in to eating. And the love response also has its own biochemistry, its own brain patterns, its own heart rhythms. So feeling more grounded, feeling more centered. Some people had physical sensations. All of those are signs of being more in the love response. And so doing this once won't do anything to change your life. But here's what will. If you do this a couple of times a day for the next 2 weeks, you will start to habituate the love response, which means it'll start to be your default state. It'll start to be more and more where you live your life. I've done this thousands of times. All I have to do now is put my hand up to my heart, and the whole response starts to happen to me. And you don't have to do this with your eyes closed. You can do it while you're standing in the line at the grocery store, where you're sitting on the phone with somebody. Just do those simple 3 steps and try it. Make your own life an experiment and see what happens.
I love that. That is just beautiful. How amazing that we can create that, within ourselves so easily and quickly. Cool.
Yeah. So how about one last one?
Yes.
Okay, good. Where a lot of people get tripped up is their thoughts. The average person has 60,000 thoughts a day. And for the average person, 80% of them are negative. 80%. And we inherited this tendency. It's called the negativity bias. We've inherited this tendency to be negative from our caveman ancestors. So don't beat yourself up for it. It's natural to feel that way. But happy people have shifted. Yeah, a dear friend of mine, Rick Hansen, who wrote Hardwiring Happiness, he calls it, our brains are Velcro for the negative. The negatives just stick to us, where they're Teflon for the positives. The positives just slide off of us. Happy people have reversed that. I'll give you a simple example. Tricia, if you get 10 compliments in a day and 1 criticism, what do you tend to remember?
It's kind of sticky, that criticism.
That criticism kind of sticks. Not most people, true.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is we want to shift that so that the negatives slide off of us, the positives stick. And there's 3 things to do for that. Number 1, be on the lookout for the positive. You've got to actually pretend that you're like a detective and you're looking for the good. One of the women that I interviewed for Happy for No Reason said that she pretends that she's the Academy Awards committee. And her goal is to give out 5 Academy Awards a day. So she'll be walking in the park and she'll see a cute, fluffy little white dog and she'll go, oh, that dog gets the cutest dog of the day award. It focuses and trains her mind to be on the lookout for the positive. So that's
cute.
One. Number 2, you've got to savor the positive. You've got to actually let it sink in for 20 seconds for it to really get sticky. The negative doesn't take anywhere near as long to get sticky as the positive takes. So really notice it, savor it. When somebody says to you, you did a great job on that project, instead of saying, oh, it was nothing, when you know you worked really hard on that, you say, thank you. I worked really hard on that project and it was a challenge, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm so glad you noticed. Now that's savoring it. That's letting it in. And then the third thing is you want to go for a 3-to-1 ratio, meaning 3 positives for every 1 negative. So every time something starts consuming you with the negative, you want to flip it and try to replace it with 3 positives.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. There's something you talked about last when I heard you speak a week ago, which really, really was awesome. And it was about the commonality of among happy people to feel a sense of well-being. Can you talk about that?
I can. I interviewed hundreds of deeply happy people. And I found that they all had one basic belief. And the belief was that we live in a friendly and benevolent universe. Einstein said that the most important question that you can ask yourself is this a friendly universe? And happy people will always say yes. Now, that doesn't mean that everything goes their way. But what it means is they believe that the universe is on their side. Life is for them, not against them. And so when something happens that doesn't go necessarily the way they want it to, instead of feeling like a victim, oh, why is this always happening to me? They turn it around and they ask themselves this question: if this is happening for a higher purpose, what would that be? And that's really, to me, that is so key, is feeling connected to the greater energy of the universe, and that greater energy of the universe is loving. This is a loving and benevolent universe. It's all in your favor.
I just love that, Marci. I find it to be so true. I feel like as I've healed, and my life is up leveled, 100-fold, since my days of destroying myself with food, I just have a growing sense, every single day that, first of all, it came, I've shared this before in one of my podcasts, but, my mentor told me early on that I'm God's favorite baby daughter.
Oh, that's sweet.
I know, right? And so that somehow that made such an impact on me. And I just would always say that, like, I'm God's favorite baby daughter,
I can adopt that.
Yeah, isn't it great?
I love that.
And everybody is. And so, but by using that and affirming that, it gives me this sense that I am completely protected and completely guided every moment of the day. And so it's like I'm in this bubble of protection and love, and it has grown inside of me to just be absolutely unequivocally true, And so it just matches what you're saying, is that to really believe that the universe or God or whatever you choose to call it is absolutely conspiring to bring us our highest and best at all times. It gives me such a sense of peace and freedom from fear and worry and anxiety. And that lends itself to more peace around food, because I'm not stress eating or covering up anxieties or, trying to somehow escape, my sense of doom with food.
It is so fundamental, that vibe, that feeling, that place that you're coming from, that all is well. You're being taken care of by life. You're capable of opening up to receiving the gifts that life wants.
Yeah.
No matter what the appearances may seem. And here's the thing that I suggest for people. Just try it on for size. You don't have to buy it all. You don't have to. You just need to try it on and see what works for you. And don't try everything at once, because that's a setup to lose. That's a setup to beat yourself up. Oh, God, I didn't do all those things she told me to do. Forget it. Pick one thing. Pick the one thing that most resonated with you in the last time that we've been talking together, and just try that out. And acknowledge yourself for what you are doing, not what you aren't doing. What we put our attention on grows stronger in our life. When we're putting our attention on what we are doing, what is working, we'll get more of that.
Beautiful. And you have a special gift for people listening. So please tell us about that.
I do. I mentioned that I found there are 21 main happiness habits, and I've told you about 4 or 5 of them. And so I have a workbook, Happy for No Reason workbook. And what it has is all 21 of the habits and a process or an exercise you can do for each one. So some of the things we've mentioned here are in that workbook, but there's 21 of them. And there's also a self-assessment to see where you are on the happiness continuum.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah. Welcome.
I want to take that. Thank you. That's a really juicy gift. I appreciate that. So everybody, you can check that out. Go to the show notes and just grab that and get started on all those 21 habits. Super cool. Thank you so much for that. I have one last question for you, Marci. Okay. This has been so delicious. Thank you so much. And I ask all my guests, and you can give a second to think about it. What is your deepest hunger?
Oh, I need no seconds to think about it.
Okay.
My deepest hunger is to be completely and totally aligned with my soul, with my truth, with divinity, with the universe, with God, with whatever you want to call it, and to live my life with completely connected to that alignment.
Amen, sister. That is just beautiful. And you're doing it, and it's written all over you.
Oh, thank you. I want to say one other thing, Tricia, if I can.
Sure.
People often ask me, isn't it selfish? All you're doing is thinking about me and how do I feel and, me being happy, and don't I have to be concerned about the world? And my answer is that, of course, we're concerned about the world. And the best thing we can each do to help this world be better is by making ourselves the most filled with love and light that we can. And there's a beautiful Chinese proverb. It hangs in my living room, and I want to just share it because I think it sums up why I care this much about this. And it goes like this. It says, when there is light in the soul, there will be beauty in the person. When there is beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. When there is harmony in the house, there will be order in the nation. And when there is order in the nation, there will be peace in this world. And so my prayer and my wish for every single one of us is that we know that light in our souls, that happiness, that love in our own lives. And through that, we help create peace here on this planet of ours.
Beautiful. Beautiful way to end the show. Thank you so much for being here, Marci. It's such a pleasure, such an honor to have you and have your words of wisdom and your experience. And thanks for all that you do to bring happiness to others, help people find their happiness.
Well, thank you. And I just send my love to everybody.
Yeah, thank you. And for those listening, be sure to check out the Heal Your Hunger Tribe and comment on this show. Let's continue the conversation over there. You just go to Facebook and type in Heal Your Hunger Tribe and join us. We will keep talking because this is so, so important to all of our health and well-being. So thanks again, Marci. You take care.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.